So, it has been a good minute since I've done a video outside politics, and honestly, it's a little refreshing. It's just the political world has just been absolutely freaking nuts. But that's part of the game. When they go at it, you gotta be right there with them. Can't give them any ground, right? Anyway, so what I'm talking about today is some Star Wars news. So, I'm sure most of y'all by now heard of the book, what is it, Secrets of the Jedi? Or Tales of the Jedi? It's the book coming out where it's like Luke's point of view on everything from like the Old Republic to the Clone Wars to the New Republic, Order 66. You know, all the good stuff that Star Wars was about, I guess. And the thing is, well, to put it bluntly, the failure of the Jedi is complete. The circle is done. Now, what do you mean by that? Well, Thor Skywalker, which I'll link his video in the description, came out with a book talking about this subject. And honestly, the man's right. He's right on. And what I want to do with this video is kind of add on to what he said in the video. Now, unfortunately, the biggest question that I myself kind of had during Luke's new Jedi Order was he in contact with the Force Ghost? Well, with the EU, yes, Luke was in contact with the Force Ghost from time to time, and they kind of helped him guide along certain areas. And in the new Disney canon with this book, the Force Ghosts have revealed themselves many times, apparently, to Luke to help him build the Jedi Order, to tell him the stories of the past, and, you know, the stories of how they fell, what the Clone War was like, what the Jedi was like before Order 66, all that fun stuff. And it's even, you know, kind of speculated, not confirmed, but heavily speculated that even Qui-Gon Jinn revealed himself to Luke to help him with a deeper understanding of the Force. Because one of the things that made Qui-Gon Jinn so interesting, not just in the movie, but for those who read the EU or even some of the new Marvel comics, is Qui-Gon was that Jedi who believed in the Jedi shouldn't really be focusing on the politics of the Republic. You know, we have to listen to the will of the Force. We have to feel the Force around us. Because part of the reason is during the... Well, if you want to count the EU during the reformation of the Republic after the time of Darth Bane, the Jedi went from being, well, the Jedi to protectors of the Republic, and they started getting in more closely with the Republic. You know, they became soldiers of the Republic, essentially. And they followed the Jedi Code to a T, which kind of helped with their downfall. Anyway, so we do not know, because the book is not out yet, but we don't know if the Force Ghost warned Luke of Snoke. I mean, you have to think. There is a book out called From a Certain Point of View, where it talks about different Jedi and their experiences from a certain point of view, from their point of views. And it has now been written that when Obi-Wan was fighting Vader, and, you know, before he died, he had a vision of the Force. And in the vision, he saw the downfall of the Empire, the rise of the Jedi, but then he also saw the downfall of the Jedi again, and the rise of the First Order. And I'm sitting here thinking, okay, if Obi-Wan saw that, did Yoda see that? You know, and hell, did Qui-Gon see that? Did Anakin see the same thing? And if they did, why wouldn't they warn Luke about it, you know? Now, Luke apparently knew about Snoke. You know, he knew about him, he knew what was going on, but apparently Luke chose to do nothing about him that we can see so far until he led to that weird scene in The Last Jedi where he's like, I must kill my nephew. Oh no, my nephew. Oh god, nephew! I mean, I don't want to talk about the scene. That's cringy moment. But in the book it says that he failed, and as chaos rose around him, that's when Luke decided that no one should be a Jedi Master, and that the Jedi must fail, and that the Jedi must die. And as he said in The Last Jedi, you know, he said, the legacy of the Jedi is failure. Despite the fact that for 1,000 years the Jedi have kept the peace. I mean, 1,000 years is a long time. You figure the Jedi were doing something right in those thousands of years, right? But Luke has one bad major moment, and that's when he decides, no, I'm done with this. Now, a big difference between the EU Luke and this Luke, well, there's a lot of big differences, but some of the major differences is when he was founding the Order. In the EU, as many of y'all might know, Luke decided that the New Republic still needed protection. They needed to help protect the New Republic, especially during its first, foundations. Luke was training the Jedi to be elite soldiers of the New Republic. While it seems with the Disney version of Luke, during his building of the Jedi, he wanted to get away from the Republic. He took a much outer position. Like, there's been a few books, very few books that we've seen, but some of them has been, instead of Luke dealing with the politics and dealing with the foundation of the rebellion, transitioning to the Republic, he just strictly focused on the Jedi. He basically he still helped in some cases, but for the most part, he let them aside. He let Leia and Han and all the other rebellion heroes handle that while he went off and constructed the Jedi, which there's nothing wrong with that. Truly, there's nothing wrong with that. But it's just, as Thor Skywalker said, Luke decided to let the Jedi die and just fail at the most critical point where, honestly, the galaxy needed the Jedi the most. You see, Luke knew it was Snoke. His nephew, well, originally his nephew killed all of them, but now it's his nephew killed some of them and took 12 of them to be the Knights of Ren, if they still go with that storyline. I mean, God only knows at this point. And the First Order was rising, building their military strength, while apparently the New Republic was reducing their military strength. Which makes no sense to me, because you figure Luke got done fighting a war with the Rebellion to stop the Sith. The Rebellion, transitioning to the New Republic, just got done fighting a war with the Empire. And they both have these dark side users and the First Order rising, and instead of rising up to fight them, they chose to weaken themselves and then just, I'm going to use the term surrender, essentially. They essentially surrendered. Now, why did they do that? Well, the galaxy needed to be reset because, Disney wanted to make Star Wars their own, in a way. That's my personal opinion. Basically, the sequel trilogy has just reset the galaxy to a point where we've already seen it, even though it's been a lot of telling and not showing, which is a big problem that the sequel trilogy has right now. Anyway, I just don't understand it. I really don't understand it. I mean, it makes the failure of the prequel trilogy Jedi complete. I mean, they helped Luke all along, but they chose not to warn him of Snoke. They chose... they sat there, apparently, and just went, oh yeah, there's this First Order and the Snoke guy rising, but don't worry about him, you don't gotta worry about your nephew. And when Luke does something stupid, and he's at his biggest critical point, instead of the Force ghosts showing themselves to him and going, Luke, I know this is bad, this is devastating, but the galaxy needs Luke Skywalker more than ever. The galaxy needs the Jedi to rise up more than ever. They left him alone. He cut himself off the Force, went to the first Jedi Temple for some reason, just to die? Why? Just why, folks? They completely took the Return of the Jedi and they made it nothing now. Because we know for a fact there is no return. Luke was no return. Now, I know some of y'all have probably heard by now that rumor by Doomcock that supposedly George Lucas still gets 25% with every single prequel trilogy and original trilogy and Clone War animation person that's been produced. He still gets funds when they're used. So, technically the terms Jedi and Sith, he would still get funds off them because they're using terms that he created, right? And which, throughout the whole movie, Rey never identified as a Jedi. Kylo or Ben, he never identified as a Sith, and Snoke was never called like a Sith God or Sith Lord or Sith Master or anything like that. I personally believe that's because Disney was stepping away from that and they wanted to create something new in the process, but with episode 9 so far, it looks like they're backtracking on that and going, oh, people actually like Star Wars for what it was. Maybe they won't accept this new stuff that we have. And also in the Rise of Skywalker, it's like, did it take Luke to killing himself to come back and realize, maybe I was wrong. So now Rey has all the knowledge and training of the Jedi that Luke also received from the Force Ghosts. Which probably also means that when she creates the Jedi, it's highly possible that maybe Luke truly was the last Jedi. The next generation, there will be no more Jedi. It will be something different, something new, something that Disney can brand as their own, and they don't have to pay George Lucas anything at all. Why would Kylo be a Sith? He doesn't claim to be a Sith. He's a Knight of Ren. So, maybe going forward, the next group of Sith will be Knights of Ren. I don't know. But what I want... It just makes it sad, honestly, as a fan, because this just means everything the Jedi fought for in the prequel trilogy and then Luke's journey. Because, Obi-Wan and Yoda didn't exile themselves just because they lost. They retrained themselves. They tried to figure out, okay, what does it mean to be a Jedi? And it does look like that they were passing that knowledge on to Luke, but then Luke just casted it all aside at the most critical moment. What kind of storytelling is that? I want y'all to think evil is rising in the galaxy, but the most powerful beings and military force in the galaxy chooses to give up and reduce its strength. You see what I'm talking... Jesus, no wonder the First Order won so easily, apparently. It's because apparently everyone just gave up. There was no one to resist them. No one to fight them. And as we saw in The Last Jedi, Leia, she was all like, hey, we're going to call out to our allies in the Outer Rim and hopefully they'll come. And guess what? They didn't come. What kind of scenario and storyline is that? It's just the Jedi disappear when they need them most. The New Republic is gone, reduced to ashes. And then the rest of the galaxy just gets on their knees and goes, oh, First Order, yes, please don't hurt us. We'll do whatever you want. That's not good storytelling. That's just like, we need the plot to move along. So all these events are going to happen, and it's just going to fall into place like a puzzle piece. Doomcock said it right. Disney cannot make Star Wars. At least with their current leadership and the current people in charge. After seeing this book of the Jedi and hearing about what happened and then seeing what's going on now, honestly, it does make me sad. I've been a fan of Star Wars since I was a kid, and I've played tons of the games, read plenty of the books, and there was a lot good with them. And now just to hear that Disney has swept all that away just to make our heroes that, a lot of us grew up with just be failures and fail at everything they did just so they can escalate their new heroes and go, ha, these are the true heroes of the galaxy. There was no proper passing of the torch. Honestly, the sequel trilogy should have been like our old heroes. They suffered, but the new heroes encouraged them and, pushed them along for one last good fight. One last good push. And our heroes pushed with the new heroes, and then they passed the roles on to him, or, to them. They took a backseat position as our new heroes move forward. The new heroes should have been like apprentices to the old cast. And honestly, if we saw that type of storyline where we saw our new heroes working with the old heroes, learning from them and understanding from their wisdom that they've gained, we probably would care about the sequel trilogy characters more. But right now, everything they've done is just, we need them to do this for the plot. We need them to do that for the plot. Oh, they have to push along for this plot. Let's make Cantobite for no reason whatsoever. I don't want to say Disney hates Star Wars, because they obviously bought it, and they want to make money off of it. But with this form of storytelling, with these ideas that they're doing, this narrative that they're pushing, I don't know how Star Wars is going to survive. People are just growing tired of it. And with this bit of news, basically the failure of the Jedi is complete. I don't think the Jedi will ever return to the Star Wars galaxy beyond the sequel trilogy. I don't think Rey is going to be a Jedi. I think she's going to be something different. I don't know. I really don't know. As I said, it is sad, because one of the calls of Star Wars to many of us has always been like the battle of good and evil, the battle of Jedi and Sith, rebellion and empire, separatists and clones, Sith and Old Republic. And to just see all that washed away, just to basically make George Lucas' Star Wars failure in the end, well, here's hoping something will change. Sorry about the length of the video, guys, but, well, here's hoping for a better future.